strange thing, isn't it? Go and simply love their homeland. No matter where they go, how they go, when they go, they have to come back and keep connection with their roots. You may write from abroad or you may still visit it every year, but that pilgrimage back home has to be done. My name is Savia Viegas. I'm from Carmona. Actually, being raised here, the biggest advantage was that you had time to grow. You had time to watch the stars and the moon and do the things that other things do. Play with flowers, play with butterflies, play with home utensils, become domesticated, and also do other things that took your fancy. As a youngster, there was crochet and embroidery happening all around because my mother was a seamstress. My grandmother from this house, she was a housewife, but she was very good at crochet. So, life was filled with lace and design. So I loved that too. But somehow there was also a streak in me that wanted to paint. Never very consciously, there was no ambition to it. So you painted with whatever you had. If you got charcoal, you painted with it. If you got chunna, you painted with it. You knitted with broomsticks because the craft looked so exciting. Your destination was not to make a sweater or a glove or a baby mitt, but you just had to knit. With regard to embroidery, there was always this little tension between my mother and me. She never wanted me to learn embroidery, and I was defiant. I had the temperament of a very stubborn child, and she said no, and I said yes, and that kind of established the battle lines between us in childhood. And my grandmother, my father's mother, somehow sensed this. She sensed my rebellious spirit, and I always appreciate her for it. She sensed that I was a strong and rebellious child, and she wanted to keep that spirit alive. So when she knew that I was making these coos about my mother not teaching me embroidery, she said, "Why are you bothered? I'll teach you crochet." And when she taught me crochet, when I moved to Goa in 2004, I brought with me a whole lot of material that was there in our Bombay house because I was relocating for good. And all these are jeans that belong to my young sons, but outgrown them, or some of them had been torn in some portions. So my mom saw the pile and she said, "Are you going to throw it out?" I said no, very candidly, not knowing what was going to happen. She took them home. Then we also got jeans from some other youngsters who were their age, my nephews and nieces. And we put it all together, and I forgot about it because I got very busy in the anti-Raheja movement in Carmona. I began writing, I began painting, I started a school. So all these things took up my time, space and imagination. But when mine died in 2015, when she passed away, I was cleaning her cupboards and out tumbled a huge cloth. She had joined all the jean flanks together, embroidered on them, and rolled it up and kept, perhaps waiting for me to, give her the green signal that we could work on a project together with that. So I cut it up into rectangles and embroidered it and in a way, and then I did the crochet border in grey and joined it all together. And when I joined it together, a pattern began to emerge in those motifs. So I realized that my mother was using a lot of symbols and motifs in that quilt, in that cloth jeans which she had embroidered, jean material which she had embroidered. And those motifs and symbols began to speak to me particularly of the oral narratives, the oral stories, Kaniyo, which I heard in my childhood. And then I said, oh my God, this is that story, this is that story, this is that story. very much influenced by the work of Frida Kahlo. So I like also strong colors. If you can see a lot of reds, a lot of these are also very Asiatic, you know. And I like to reflect the color around me, the strong greens, the reds, the strong blues, and that probably brings in my Asianness, my Goanness, my Indianness, whatever you call it, out through the fiery range of colors that I use. Actually, if you see the history of art in Goa, it's full of very sad testimonies. Whether it's the writing of F.N. Souza or it's the writing of Angelo Fonseca or any of the later painters, they've all been exiled outside of Goa and forced to paint maybe even scenes of Goa outside Goa, because there's never been a backbone which has kind of provided them strong support within the state. Even F.N. Souza left at a young age, went to Bombay and then lived in London and US later. Angelo Fonseca lived in Shanti Niketan, then came to Goa, but left on a sad note and settled down in Pune. All his work was created in Pune. But he loved Goa. He loved coming back to Goa. In fact, when I was interviewing for the book that I've written on Angelo Fonseca, when I was interviewing his wife, she told me that whenever he went to Santistevam, which was his village, which was his island abode, the working class workers in his house, who were, like tenants, they would say, Bab huyaha pintaita, Bab pintaita. And pintaita, the whole thing of being an artist, was seen as so feminine. It was never seen as masculine. That, you could be an artist and you could be male, but you could be a male if you were a doctor, if you were an engineer, if you were a priest, or if you were a lawyer. But artists, no, you were female. You were like reified in the order of things, in the order of importance. For me, I only feel pain when something that is of value is destroyed. That for me is the hardship. But creating something from things that would have probably ended in a garbage heap is pure joy. Because you're not only recycling, you're using a material like old jeans. Many of the youngsters who used these jeans had wonderful experiences in them. There was one of the nephew's nieces who said that, he wore those jeans when he biked down from Bombay to Goa, escaping the wrath of a girlfriend's father. He didn't want him to kind of go around with his daughter. So he said, I'll kill you. And then he took the bike, afraid, he took the bike from Bombay to Goa. There was another one who had gone to Germany, seen the fall of the Berlin Wall in a particular jean which came to us. So it was already a material in which lots of things were inscribed. Because for Indians, jeans mean a lot of things. Jean pant, your first jean pant. You could have had your white dream in it, your black dream in it, your blue dream in it, your wet dream in it, any other blue dream in it, your sad moments, your happy moments, your joyful moments, your first date, whatever of most unique human experiences would be had in those jeans. Because to own a pair of jeans was like to have a very valuable thing in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Okay?